Hi again. This is our last new formula for the week that has to do with volume, and it is for a sphere. As you can see by my Pablo Picasso drawing on the left, we've got a sphere, and you can see in red the formula is written. So the formula for a sphere is a weird one. It's not one that is logical and makes sense to you, but that is it. It is 4 times pi times radius times radius times radius 3 times. It's cubed, not squared. And then at the end, you divide by 3. It is a weird formula. It's a hard one to remember since it is so different than the other two. But let's get into some practice problems. Here is our first example. You can see my sphere that I drew with a diameter of 24 all the way across is 24. Spheres are kind of weird because they don't have a height, so the only thing we need is the radius, and then we're good to go and solve. Let's go ahead and plug in the radius so then we can solve this together. V equals 4 times pi, I'm going to use 3.14, times r. Well, if the diameter is 24, the radius must be 12. Make sure you pay really close attention to that so you don't accidentally plug in the wrong things. So let's go ahead and simplify this. We're going to end up with a pretty large number because we are cubing 12. So I'm going to multiply 12 times itself 3 times, giving me 1728. You can do this all in one step if you want, or write that down and then start multiplying more, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to just keep on multiplying times pi and then times 4. So I have quite the large number here, and then all at the same time, I don't even need to write anything down. I can go ahead and just divide that by 3, giving me my final answer. Volume is 7,234.56. No units were given, so that would be my final answer. So that is how you solve for the volume of a sphere. I'll try one more, and then we'll do one work backwards problem. Here's example 2. You can see my horrible drawing there. The radius given is 10. Let's go ahead and try this one, leaving our answer in terms of pi. Leave answer in terms of, I wrote the S down there, how weird. Terms of pi. Okay, so we're going to plug in what we know. We know the radius is 10. So I have V equals 4 times 3.14 times 10 cubed divided by 3. And I'm realizing now I probably shouldn't have switched that to 3.14 because I'm telling you to leave it in terms of pi, so we'll go ahead and fix that in the next step. Let's cube 10, timesing it by itself 3 times, giving me a 1,000. So I've got V equals 4 pi 1,000 divided by 3. Now I would multiply 4 times 1,000, giving me 4,000 times pi over 3. And then the last step would be to divide 4,000 by 3, giving me this very large decimal. So I'm not going to write an equal sign because I am going to be rounding, and I'm going to write this over here so I'll have a tiny bit more space, that the volume is approximately 1333.33 pi. And that's how I would leave my answer. You guys know from my other videos I like to round to 2 decimal points. If it's not specific, it doesn't really matter. All of our answers might be a tiny bit different, but that's okay because we're rounding different. So that's what it would look like if we were leaving our answer in terms of pi. If that was not a part of the directions and we were just asked to find the volume, then we would say times 3.14 and get an even bigger number. So that's example 2. Here is the last example we're going to do. I'm giving you a volume of 288 pi. Notice I'm giving it to you in terms of pi, but you'll see how that's helpful in just a sec. And then the question is going to be find the radius. So let's go ahead and plug that volume in. 288 pi equals 4 pi r cubed over 3. Now, the cool thing about them giving us the answer in terms of pi is that when you have the same exact thing on both sides of your equal sign, you can actually cross it out. It goes away. And then what you're left with is a problem that's a little bit easier. 4r cubed over 3. Because when there's less stuff to deal with, it's usually an easier problem. So now that we have that, we can go ahead and start solving for r. The first thing I would want to do is get rid of that over 3, just like I did with the cones in the last video. I'm going to times both sides by 3. So I need to do 288 times 3, giving me 864. 864 equals 4r cubed. Next, I would need to divide both sides by 4. 864 divided by 4 is 216. And finally, I need to get rid of my r cubed. Now, this is a little different than what we've been doing because when you have r squared, you square root to get rid of it. Well, when you have r cubed, what you're going to do is you're going to find the cubed root to undo it. So I need to find the cubed root of 216. It's been a while since we've done that. We did it back in the Pythagorean theorem unit if you want to look back in your notes, but basically when you are asked to find the cubed root of something, I'm wondering what times itself 3 times will equal 216. My calculator does not have the cubed root button on it. Your calculator might, or maybe you have these memorized. I have it memorized because, you know, I have to do this every year over and over. But let's say I had no clue what the answer was and I don't have the function on my calculator. I would just guess and check. I would try different numbers. Let's try 4 times itself 3 times. Will that give me 216? Nope, that gives me 64. Let's try 5. Nope, that gives me 125. Let's try 6. Bingo! 6 times itself 3 times is 216, which means for this problem that the radius is equal to 6. Yay, we did it. That's all the videos I have for you for volume. I do have a practice problem or a practice worksheet for you on spheres. Actually, you know what? Hold that thought. I have one more problem that I want to give you guys. All right, anyone know what this thing is called right here? Because you will definitely see problems like this. It is half of a sphere, and the word for it is a hemisphere. I want to make sure that you guys know how to solve problems if you are asked to find the volume of a hemisphere. And essentially, since it is half of a sphere, imagine if you found the volume of an entire sphere with the formula that we just practiced, and then at the very end you would just cut it in half because you only need half of it. So let's try that just really quickly. Let's say I'm giving you a radius of 10. I know we already did a problem like this, but that's okay because we're doing a little bit differently now. So I have 4 times pi times r cubed divided by 3, and at the very end of all of that we're going to divide it by 2, cut it in half. So let's do that. I'm going to take 10 and times it by itself 3 times, then I'm going to times that by pi, then I'm going to times that by 4. That gives me 12,560, and I'm going to divide that by 3, giving me a nice beautiful number. Just kidding, it's kind of ugly because of all those decimals. But that's okay, we don't judge. And then I need to divide that by 2. When I do that, it gives me a final volume of about, gosh, wow, I'm so bad at writing those about symbols lately. And I'm writing the about symbol because I'm rounding. So this would be my final volume. So if this were a full sphere, then this would be my volume. However, it's not a full sphere, it's a hemisphere, so I have to divide by 2, giving me this for my final answer. So just keep that in mind. If you're asked to find the volume of a hemisphere, you have to divide by 2 at the very end. That is all I have for you guys for this week. Enjoy your practice, and I will see you later.